after build review of the Swokz S104evo. There is a previous video that I did on the comparison between the S104 EK1, the EK1 Performance Pack, and the Evo. You can check that out. Link is in the description below. This one I want to go a little further in depth on this particular kit because I did not go over in the other rather long two-part one. And again, I apologize for the length of that one. I'll try to make this one quite a bit shorter. This kit, in that other video, I actually had not gotten it running yet. Now that it's running, I'll go through with what I've got internally inside. I've got new Spectrum s104e servo in it. Love these little things. Actually, all my kits have them for steering except for my 8 scale. It's got a 60/80. Plenty of speed, plenty of torque. You don't need to go through anything other than that. R10 Pro and a 5.5 version 3 Speed Passion brushless motor, and then the Trinity 2S LiPo 100C. Currently, last video, the yellow wheels are on it. Now I actually have proper light wheels that actually would have come with the kit. These aren't the kit wheels. I still haven't mounted tires on those yet, but these are just some J Concepts barcodes I'm going to play with the first time out with it. Going into this kit, other than my gripe with the piece of plastic for the shocks that wasn't molded correctly and had some damage, there is one major thing wrong with the instruction manual. As you can see, when you build a diff, it shows exactly how you're supposed to put it. And the EK1, there was a supplement in that instruction manual for this exact problem. This kit does not have it. It tells you to put the differentials in this way for the front and rear. When you do that, the car actually goes in reverse. So make a mental note if you're building this car. Don't do like I did and build it to the kit. Actually flap the differentials over so the car actually goes in the correct direction. It's kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. And the other thing on the old video is I said I went to 50,000 weight in the center differential. The kit actually comes with 100,000 weight. I'm actually thinking I should have put the 100,000 in. But we'll see once we put it on the track and on how torque split is. It seems a little bit too soft, just messing around in the workshop, but we'll see how it goes. The shock pistons in this one are a 2-hole 1x5 or 1.5 millimeter that are machined, and I again don't know if I'm going to like them or not. It seems to be a little bit underdampened, but once it's weighted, it seems to be okay. There may be enough pack with it. We'll see. But I do have some 5-hole 1.2 millimeters to try as well that I may go with at the track. We'll see what happens. These again are emulsion shocks. They are not the bleeder cap, or I'm sorry, not the bladder shocks. They're emulsions. Little bleeder screws right there. I did put the trifecta wing on it. We'll try it. I do have the original wing right here, and these are some springs from Swokz from the old car that will work on the new one. The front shocks are quite a bit shorter than the EK1, and the front shock tower is quite a bit lower than the EK1. The steering geometry is much better. The bell crank now, you can adjust the Ackerman a little bit by adjusting the shims here, and it did take care of the bump steer all 100%. And no longer will you have that problem. But other than that, and the body length, again, make note of the length of the body. You can see, again, if you see where the groove is, and where the original hole is supposed to be, just when you build the kit, make sure that you are aware of that and don't cut the body short. And you should be fine as far as that goes. Once I was able to break in the differentials, the 5,000 weight that these things come with seemed to be pretty good. We'll again adjust that when we need to, but it's just that center differential. You may need to go to the 100,000 weight. And the green springs this thing comes with, again, they're just way too, I think, too soft for the overall package. But again, I have not had the car on the track yet to find that out. But basically, this is how everything lays out once you assemble it. The real neat feature, again, with this, other than the servo being a floater, is the receiver as well as the ESC mount on top of plates. And these little plates are actually kind of neat. I don't know if you can see them in there or not. You can kind of see the plate. They mount with screws underneath here, and they're actually rubber insulated, so there's a little bit of shock factor there. You can see the 3 holes right there for the servo. If you would run this car saddle pack, the servo then flips to the other side of the car, as well as the motor then flips to the other side of the car. So you can run the saddle packs in it. That's why there is so many holes in the bottom of the car. Again, no rear pickup. The rear differential comes out of this thing really fast, really easy. Actually, I think that the rear anyway, would come out faster than even the Hot Bodies car. The front is a little tricky to get out, but with any 4-wheel drive vehicle, you're going to have that, minus the Hot Bodies car. It's just you need to take these 2 screws out, take the 2 out of the bottom of the front, and then 2 long ones here, and then the sway bar, you can choose to either leave it there or take the 2 screws out, and this brace actually kind of flaps down on these little pivot balls there. You can just slide that out of the way, and then the front cap comes off and the differential comes out really quick. Center differential, again, the 4 screws, don't do the 2 center ones because that holds little plastic blocks that holds the bearings down. It pops out. A little hokey because of the length of the front drive shaft in this one is a little shorter than the old car, and it's a little bit of a pain. But other than that, everything has gone together really good. There isn't as much front suspension travel as the old car, the EK1, but in reality, you never needed that length, that travel anyway, and that was the killer of the front drive shafts. It just where the CV is, it would just shear them off right there because there's just way too much travel. And again, this car does not have droop screw adjustment. You need to adjust your shock length for that. The setup for this thing, I believe, was a high grip carpet still setup. So you will need to make some serious adjustments. You may like to drive it like that, but I personally found it to be a handful with the old car, and I don't expect this one to be any different. So that's why we have the springs out and all my other fluids and such. So, but other than that, I do not think that there was anything else I did need to go over with this. The shop, the manual, I didn't go with the other video. So we'll kind of do that now. These are the nuts for the axles, for the wheels. And again, they are serrated. If it would focus. There we go. A little bit better. You can see they are serrated. And this is the actual tool. It's pretty much, I've used it twice now and it no longer works. So bear in mind, you'll need to get a 14mm nut driver. The manual itself is nice. However, there is some issues with it. Most notably the differentials. Again, be careful with it. Make note of which way they go in. It gives you, the front half gives you all the screws and hardware and all the parts and what it is with description. They are full size, so you can kind of match stuff up in a way. Those are the shock pistons that are currently in there. They are conjugal, so conical. So bear that in mind. The motor mount, that was the other gripe. The screws that they give you for the motor mount, this part, they are supposed to be cone style screws, and they do give you to them, but they're too long, and they actually don't thread into the motor all the way. So you have to shorten them up. And if you try to put a button head screw in the recess, the motor mount just doesn't work. I made that mistake as well, just to try to get the motor in, but I ended up having to shorten up some cone style screws or countersunk screws. And then the motor mount actually works pretty good. I'm still trying to get used to it, but it's still not the greatest thing in the world. Stock gearing is 87 spur, and it does come with a 19-tooth aluminum pinion, which is a nice little added bonus. your axles, stuff like that. These are all, again, all what the kit comes with as far as parts go, and the parts trees, what the part numbers are, all that fun stuff. Differentials, be very, very careful of that. Again, do not mount the differentials in the way they show. Flip them, and you'll be okay. Otherwise, it's pretty typical manual. It's a lot like how Lowe's does or TLR does with their kits, where they give you the hardware and they show you kind of the picture of how to do stuff. No real major writing. It's just kind of picture deal and go from there. As far as setup goes and advice of how to do things, what you actually need to do is flip